Namaste all. So welcome to this video session where I'm going to show you how I make ghee. First, you need to start off with some unsalted butter. And I like to get my butter from the farm usually, but when I can't, I make sure I get good organic butter that is unsalted. Unsalted is very important, okay? The only way you're going to boil water out of the butter is, the best way is to have that unsalted, because that's what we're doing, and that's all we're doing is getting the water out of the butter. So I have some going on here right now. You can kind of see it. You can maybe hear it. The smell is almost like popcorn. You know, I have the heat on low. My primitive stove, electric stove's on low, and perhaps you can see right there that it is bubbling away, so there are solids coming to the top. You know, some people stir those solids back into the ghee, but I generally take them off, and I use a strainer for that. So I have a strainer. It's kind of, I mean, when it's done, it's going to look like pure gold, like you can see to the bottom, like transparent gold. But right now it's still cloudy. I wanted to make another one too, just to kind of show you how I begin. It doesn't hurt to have too much ghee. And as I said in my newsletter, ghee is great to cook with. It's very nourishing to the body. Ghee is used for a lot of medicinal purposes as well. So it's not just for cooking. For example, I'll use ghee as in a basti on my husband's eyes because he has eye issues. Ghee is very nourishing to the body. It enkindles the digestive fire. You can cook in very high heat with it, which is cool, right? It doesn't like oxidize. It imparts a beautiful taste to a lot of food. I would say the only contraindication really is if you have super high cholesterol or if you're trying to lose weight. You know, obviously butter, doesn't totally help that. But, you know, in moderation, it's good for most people. So I'm going to start my other ghee here. I just put the 2 sticks of butter. Maybe I'll put it back here. There we go. Feeling a little vata today. Just got done with my yoga practice. Wasn't a great practice, but you know, something is better than nothing. Okay, so this ghee here, which I've had on for about, you shouldn't really be cooking it more than 15 minutes. So make sure you have your heat on where it can be done before 20 minutes. Sometimes it takes me a little longer, but not too much. And again, I like to take the solids off the top. So I'm taking the solids off the top. This one's going to start cooking any moment. Yeah, I'm not quite seeing to the bottom. You know, again, it should be like perfectly clear. Almost like those yellow glasses you might put on. You know, they're not going to be all, impede your vision. Just everything's going to be a pure yellow. And that's how it looks whenever the ghee is finished. You can see to the bottom. And also, you shouldn't be hearing that sound anymore because that sound is the water boiling out of the butter. So, what else do you want to know about ghee? It's an amazing substance. It's in the ancient texts that deal with Ayurveda. Ghee is said to nourish all 7 layers of tissue, all the dhatus in the body, starting with the lymph. It enkindles, like I said, digestive fire. Before some people do panchakarma, they'll take tablespoons of ghee in the morning on an empty stomach. Not my favorite thing. And not everyone has to do that, but that's how potent and how helpful ghee can be to get things moving along and digesting. Sometimes when I cook with it, I put it, in with a little grapeseed oil. You can do that. Or sometimes when I'm just cooking rice and before it starts to boil, I'll put a tablespoon of ghee in there before I stir it around and then put the lid on. And that gives it a more rich flavor. You can cook almost anything in ghee on high heat. And if you are, someone who eats chicken, say, you can even cook chicken in that, and it gives it a really nice flavor. So, you know, it's not the same as butter with cooking. Not at all. Doesn't have the same properties. Okay, so my ghee is getting very clear. I see that. Almost like I can see to the bottom, like I'm looking out of those yellow glasses. And it's not bubbling quite as much. I'm about ready to strain it. And what I'm using is some unbleached cheesecloth. You could buy in any store. And I doubled it up. And a nice clean glass jar. And I'm just going to, when the ghee stops bubbling and when it smells more like popcorn, I'm just going to pour it in here and then, you know, take this out, squeeze it, and just have this beautiful ghee in this jar. I generally don't cover the jar until it's cooled off, but if the ghee is cooked properly, you should not have any steam from it because water causes steam, right? So, you know, in theory, you should just be able to put a lid right on it and there will be no steam. But I do like to cool it off just in case. Also, ghee should not be refrigerated. I know they do that in some stores. They just don't know better. But ghee does not need to be refrigerated. In fact, according to some of the texts, ghee can last for a very, very long time if it's made properly without being refrigerated. Okay, so this ghee is about done. Just a few more pops here. Like I said, not everyone takes the top off, but I do. Nice. And the bubbles get really fine too. Have you ever had really, really good champagne? Like how fine the bubbles are, that sort of thing. You know, so it's really cool to keep an eye on your ghee. Back in the day, I used to make beer and wine and beer. And I remember the old timers teaching me how to make it, and they would say, watch the quality of the bubbles. You know, pay attention to how it's processing over time. And I can tell you in the Appalachian Mountains, they had some of the best beer ever, those old timers. So anyway, it's really cool to be a part of a process when you're cooking, and that's what it's all about, being connected. So we're about done here. Yep, okay, looking good, looking good. Take a little bit more off. And every butter reacts differently. I noticed one time when I had non-organic butter, it did not cook the same. And then again, raw unsalted butter is another thing too. So, you know, pay attention to how the butter reacts because everything is different. It's connecting you with your food source. It's connecting you to what you're putting into your body. Good thing. All right, so I'm saying this ghee is ready. Looking good. Looking good. And I do have my cheesecloth. I have 2 little jars here. I do wash the cheesecloth out after. You know, you can just kind of wash it out, rinse it, and hang it up and reuse it if you want. I like to reuse things if possible. When, if possible. Whoops. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Ghee. Just a little bit more. So another thing about ghee, what can I tell you? Good for vata and pitta types. Kappas, moderation, please. You know, even people have even used ghee in formulas for nasya, to sniff up the nose. I don't particularly like ghee in the nose, but it's used as an anupana, which means that it's a delivery system for herbs as well. I have made medicated ghees too. It's a little more of an involved process, but you know, what you're doing is just infusing an herbal mixture in with the ghee. And what that does is it makes the herbs more readily accessible to the tissues, which is cool. Okay, are you done? Okay, yeah, looking like it. Some people like to take their ghee to the edge, you know, like almost where it's turning brown on top, right before it's burnt. I don't, but you know, different ways, different strokes. Okay, let's do this. All right, so it's looking pretty, you can see to the bottom, pretty much. I don't know if you can see that. So like I said, sometimes I take this foam layer off. Some people don't, they stir it back in, but you know, sometimes it gets in the way of straining. Be careful. Nice, thank you, ghee. I will be doing a basti on my husband's eyes this weekend, so I can use this for that. And that helps to strengthen the eyes. You know, the eyes being a pitta organ, and ghee being very purifying to pitta, nourishing for vata. How you doing there? Okay. Yeah. It is a little brown on the bottom. It's cool. You know, you can also buy it. It's true. I think it's more expensive. All right. It's a little hot for me to touch that. So, go. And I have my new ghee cooking right here. So you can see there's 2 sticks of butter in there that I will get in about 15 minutes. That's all the time it takes. And you can do this right before lunch. If you need ghee before lunch, you know, it doesn't take long. So anyway, I have my ghee here. Pretty hot to the touch, of course, as oil is. And I'm just going to, see how clear it is? Pretty clear. I'm just going to let it set until it cools down, and then I will put the lid on. And that's it for making ghee. If you have any questions, you're welcome to comment below, and I'll put the recipe down below too. So I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're so inclined, and namaste. Bye-bye.